Embers dive into the silent symphony. The sun's final rays bled into the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues that normally made Ember's heart soar. But tonight, the young dragon's attention was locked on the world below her cliffside perch. Not on the familiar, sun-dappled waves, but on the profound velvet blackness of the open ocean. And within that darkness, a mystery pulsed, a deep, rhythmic, alien glow. Not the steady silver of moonlight on water, but a living, beating heart of light from miles below. For weeks, Ember had observed it, a strange azure pulsation growing stronger, more frequent. It was a silent siren's song her fiery soul couldn't ignore. What if the ocean's deepest, darkest secrets were held within a single pulsing glow? Her own inner fire, which usually crackled along her crimson and gold scales, seemed dim in comparison to this enigmatic beacon. With a decisive flick of her leathery wings, Ember Dove, the warmth of the air vanished instantly, replaced by the shocking embrace of the sea. Her magic, an innate part of her being, reacted. As the pressure mounted and the last whispers of sunlight faded, her dragon scales began shimmering with an adaptive internal heat. They didn't glow, but they regulated, protecting her from the crushing cold. Down she spiraled, past the sunlit zone, through the twilight realm where creatures were ghostly silhouettes, and into the midnight zone, a world of absolute weighty darkness. And then, the darkness came alive. It wasn't just the mysterious pulse now. It was a cosmos beneath the waves. Pinpricks of green, spirals of blue, sudden flashes of red like distant lightning. Bioluminescent patterns swirled around her, a galaxy at her wingtips. She saw an anglerfish, a living lantern with a toothy grin, and a jellyfish that trailed constellations in its wake. She was an intruder in a silent, radiant rave. That's when she found the source of the original pulse. Not a thing, but a being. An enormous jellyfish, its bell wider than Ember's wingspan, drifted with ethereal grace. Its body was a tapestry of living fiber optics, pulsing with that same profound, rhythmic azure light. This was no simple creature. Its presence hummed with ancient knowing. "You have traveled far, child of fire and air," a voice echoed in Ember's mind, not as sound but as gentle light patterns that formed meaning directly in her thoughts. "I am Lumina, and you are following my song." Ember, astonished, communicated back with a soft, respectful glow from her own throat, a dragon skill she rarely used. "Your song? What does it mean? Why does it call?" Lumina's pulses softened. "It is a lament and a warning. Come, see the language of the deep before it is silenced." What followed was a revelation. Lumina, a gentle, floating professor, guided Ember through the shining lexicon of the abyss. She showed her how the rapid-fire sparks of a shrimp were a scream, predator, how the specific swirling green dance of a deep-sea squid was a courtship sonnet. They witnessed a cooperative hunt where smaller creatures used coordinated flashes to herd plankton into the waiting nets of a giant, patient siphonophore. This was no random beauty. It was a complex, interconnected ecosystem shimmering with life and conversation. But Lumina also showed her the cracks in this luminous tapestry. With a mournful pulse, she directed Ember's gaze to a fleet of eerie, transparent shapes drifting through the water column. Not creatures, plastic bags. And within them, and throughout the water, trillions of microplastic fragments. "They do more than choke," Lumina communicated, her light dimming. "They scatter and distort our light." A message of warning becomes a garbled signal of attraction, leading my kin into the jaws of predators. The very language of survival is being corrupted. The shocking statistic echoed in Ember's mind, something she'd heard a human scholar say. Asterisk. Over 90% of deep-sea creatures use bioluminescence to survive. Asterisk. If their light failed or lied, the entire system would collapse into silent, starving chaos. Lumina revealed the urgency behind her intensified song. A rare discovery, a nursery of a critically endangered species, the ghostly bioluminescent abyssal skate was under threat. The skate's eggs, which glowed with a unique protective frequency, were being confused by microplastic polluted light signals. Predators were being drawn to the nursery. Furthermore, the entire region was suffering under a lingering marine heatwave, a fever in the deep that disrupted the delicate chemical reactions needed to produce light. Lumina's song was a distress call, a plea for the balance she had maintained for millennia. Pose urgent question, Lumina's light seemed to ask. When the light goes out in the deepest dark, does anyone but the doomed notice? Ember's fiery heart ached. She saw it now not just a beautiful spectacle, but a fragile, living network of light, speaking in a language of survival, now under siege. Her journey for curiosity had become a mission of witness. As she began her arduous ascent, leaving the shimmering abyss behind, the world above seemed different. The moon and stars were no longer just lights. They were celestial kin to the silent symphony below. She breached the surface, her scales steaming in the cool air, her spirit forever changed. She understood now. The ocean was not a dark void. It was a vibrant, interconnected world, its heartbeat measured in pulses of light. And that heartbeat was skipping. The deep was not asking for fire or fury, it was asking for attention. For someone to carry its story to the world above, to translate its luminous lament into action. Ember flew toward the cliffs, not with answers, but with a story to tell, a story of a glowing jellyfish, a struggling nursery, and a language of light we are only beginning to hear, just as we risk silencing it forever.